Hi, in this video we're going to look at a brief introduction to StatCrunch that accompanies the orientation exercise in the assignments. Now, we won't be using StatCrunch a whole lot until we get to chapter 3, and then we will start using it a lot. StatCrunch is a very powerful tool that's built into MyMathLab that allows us to do a lot of these calculations that would otherwise be very tedious and complex to do by hand or on paper. We can also do pretty much all of the things that we do in StatCrunch we can do on a TI-84 handheld graphing calculator if you want to. But StatCrunch is a little bit more convenient in that it allows us to copy the data directly from the homework assignment into StatCrunch. Whereas if we're using a handheld calculator, we got to type the numbers in by hand. So let's see how that works. In this particular problem, it's asking us to click on this icon up here that's next to the data. So you see this little symbol a lot. We click on that and we click Open in StatCrunch. If you're interested in using Excel and play around with using Excel for these calculations, you can copy the table to clipboard and paste it, or use some of these delimited things. You're welcome to ask me outside of class if you need some help with that. But most of you are not going to bother with that. You're just going to open in StatCrunch. And then it opens up StatCrunch. And it's thinking, loading StatCrunch. And there it is. There's our data in this first column here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Stat, Summary Stats, Columns. Now we'll use this a whole lot in Chapter 3. For other things like finding the average, the mean, or the variance, or the standard deviation, and these things. For now, we just want to know the sum. So first of all, we need to tell it what columns we want to calculate with. Right now, the only column of data is var1, but it makes us select it anyway. There's nothing selected over here. It's not going to do a thing. We click on this. Okay, this is the column that it's going to use for calculations. If we had more than one column of data, we could select more than one column here and do the same calculations for several sets of data at the same time. We're going to ignore the optional things here. We're just going to go down to this, which is the different terms that it's going to calculate. Right now it's going to calculate all of these ones over here on the right. Over on the left is all of my options. Notice that sum is not included. That's the only one I care about right now, so I'm just going to click sum. If we wanted to do more than one, we could select N and then hold down Shift on the keyboard and click, and it's going to do all the ones in there. And then bottom right, we click compute down here. And it gives us our stuff. Now, since I told it to compute a whole bunch of stuff that we don't actually care about right now, it gives us a whole bunch of stuff. But over on the right, we see sum 55. That's our answer. Most of you can turn off the video now. If you're interested in how this could relate to something you're familiar with in Excel, if you're used to being able to take an Excel spreadsheet and say, well, let's put equals sum parentheses. Well, that's not going to work. Equals. That's not going to work here. Not really sure why that doesn't work here, but that's just not the way this thing is programmed. What you can do, though, is you can go to Data, Compute Expression. Data, Compute Expression. And then you can say, okay, I want to compute the sum. So then we would say sum without the, you don't have to put the equal sign. Just sum parentheses. And then we tell it the label of the column, which is var1, because that's the label up here for this column heading. Close parentheses, and then compute. And it puts it in a new column, but there we go, 55, so it gives the answer that way.